Hello, so this is radio for the second practical for FST 20303 for land preparation, for the second practical on land preparation. So for in this video, we're going to cover about land clearing, tilling, bed preparation, and the explanation on the exercise for the practical. So what is land clearing? Land clearing is basically the first preparation of land before we do our planting, before we can prepare the land for tilling. Alright, so depending on the plot chosen and the area, there will be several stages of land clearing. So in the case of Malaysia, where we mostly have a rainforest, where it has big tree, so usually it requires a large tractor in order to knock down the tree. So this usually include excavator in Malaysia because of the uh, topology in Malaysia where it can be a little bit slopey. Alright, so it require excavator for easy movement around the area. So excavator is being used in order to knock down tree and also to remove them and stack trees and stump for either left on the side for decay or it can be burned sometimes depending on the practices. But usually in Malaysia with the current regulation, open burning is not recommended. All trees, stump and vegetation is actually removed and crushed down to the ground and is being collected and stacked to an area for decay and burn. This is very critical to actually clear the land as much as we could to remove any stump or vegetation as it can interfere with the tilling activities later subsequently. So some of the best practices during land clearing that it's important to take note of is stump and tree remnants should not be buried into soil near the cultivation area. This is in order to decrease the risk of disease that can be caused by fungus. Fungus naturally its roles are to decompose lignocellulosic materials that has died. Alright, so when you actually left them or buried them in a soil where you're gonna do cultivation, it may increase risk of disease. Alright, as it become breeding ground for this decomposed fungus. Land clearing also should be done during the dry season as we actually disrupted the soil structure and the usage of this heavy tractor can actually cause further soil erosion and this can actually be more serious when it's being done during the wet or raining season. So during the dry season, the soil has adequate mechanical stability in order to resist soil deformation and thus can minimize soil erosion or structural damage. For agriculture purposes, the topsoil need to be preserved. So if you do land clearing for other type of project, non-agricultural project, most likely the topsoil is actually being removed as it can remove as much as the tree remnant from the initial land. Alright, but for agriculture purposes, this cannot be done. The topsoil need to be preserved as it contains nutrients required for crop for its optimum growth. Tall tree that is around the area, even not within the cultivation area but surrounding the area, must also be removed and being given extra attention as it can become the shield to provide enough sunlight to your crop. Okay, so you want to avoid that and remove any tall tree that may cause shielding to crop. In agriculture practices, we have this bush clearing. We call this agriculture bush clearing. So this is the practice where you actually remove any unwanted vegetation, including all roots and stump, in order to minimize disturbance to the topsoil. So this is actually being done to a maximum depth of soil about 20 cm. Alright, so you actually want to make sure that when you do tilling, you want to make sure that your implement can actually reach down deep to the depth of 20 cm. Alright, so up to 20 cm the soil are most likely be loose. In this way then it can help your cultivation subsequently. Alright, so this is an example of land that has just finished clearing. So you can see there's still lots of remnants from the previous forest. You can see there are lots of roots and stump that has not been removed. This is because the land clearing is being done using excavator, and with a large with its large hole, it cannot pull the small roots. So this has to be done further using the agriculture tractor and not excavator. So in this video you can see there's actually area or part of area where we actually develop as a pond or as a reservation pond. All right, so it collects rainwater when in the case of raining. And this picture right here show the stack of a tree or stump where we actually pull or stack at the side of the plot, about 5 meters away from the cultivation area. All right, so it's away from the cultivation area. All right, so now we're going to the second part where about tilling. All right, so tilling is a process to prepare the land for cultivation, either by digging, stirring, or overturning the soil. So this can either be done manually or by using hoe, or before this people use ox in order to pull some sort of tools in order to break down soil. Or nowadays, most likely people use mechanic or tractors in order to run the implement along the area. So the motivation of tilling is in order to get the loose soil, as it helps the crop cultivation process for root penetration and also for planting. What it does is actually give the soil extra oxygen for the seed respiration, and it also provide a good respiration process for fungus, not fungus, for microbes and uh, organism in the soil to perform composition process that can help to break down minerals within the soil to become humus that can help with the plant growing. All right. It also allow more uniform distribution of the fertilizer with the loose soil. So can also be done in order to remove weed and to level the soil surface when it is not level.